Let's talk. Your health and wellness podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk, the space where real stories meet meaningful growth. I'm your host, Dr. Avron, and today we're stepping into the bold and buzzing world of health influencers. What does it really mean to be a health influencer or influence people's health journeys? And more than that, how do you build a real sustainable business from it? Joining me is a sharp mind and a trusted voice on our panel, Mark Bates. Welcome. Nice to have you with us today. And Mark is someone, and to meet Thami, who's actually living this topic in real time. Thami, welcome. Lovely to have you on the show, and look forward to the chat.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
Thami, so how did you actually get involved in this? Like, what brought you to that, and how did it become a passion of yours?
So it started off, my dad, took me to the gym when I was a lot younger. I think back then, just to instill some sort of discipline. I didn't know this at the time. And fast forward from there, started playing rugby and was one of the smaller guys on the team. And, being in the gym was the only thing that made sense for me to put on some size. And we did that, started training grade 8 all the way through my high school. And I started taking it a little bit more serious because, you go into the gym and you're doing all the training, but, things aren't changing. And started focusing more on nutrition. I wanted to get more bang for my buck. So not just going in and smashing the weights with no, outcome, no growth. And started focusing more on nutrition. Ended up going to college to go and do some short courses. And, after COVID, the things had changed so much. The work-wise, there was a lot of uncertainty. And from there, I decided, I was out of shape. My friends were now, bless them, who I love, were on my case, saying, look, bro, look how much weight you're carrying now. And I made a promise to them and myself. And I said, you know what? I'm never, ever going to let you guys laugh at me ever again. And I decided to focus on my nutrition. And through that process, I was at a gym, the local gym around where I was staying at the time in Joburg. And the manager at the gym came to me and said, look, why don't you look into personal training? And I said, you know what, man, there's no money in that, just how everybody, with that idea of going into personal training thinks it isn't a lucrative game. And I brushed it off. And 2 weeks had passed by. And a guy that was training at the gym came to me and said, look, man, I've been watching you training here every day. You help everybody here in the gym. Why don't you just become a trainer? And I will be your first client. I want you to train me. Anyway, I started training him and I started to gain some traction, posting my videos online. People started asking me, hey man, how do you do this? Your physique looks great. And it just clicked in me, let me actually use my physique and what I know and all the experience of training to help others. And just through that and the videos, the traction all of a sudden just started picking up out of nowhere. And here we are today. We've added on to the resume. And man, it's just been a great journey so far.
Brilliant. So Thami, obviously, we don't wake up one morning and decide that we're going to be influencers, So would you say the process was an organic one, one that sort of was maybe by the interaction with this person that made you realize that, hey, shit, I could potentially, make some income from this. Maybe just talk us through, not necessarily how it started, because you've given us that background, but what happens once you realize, okay, cool, I've got some traction here. Now, what were the steps from there? Was it just a matter of you then constantly being on social media, or was it a case of actually really having to think through your content? Give us an insight into, the influencer's thought process, because I think a lot of people, and you guys get a bad rap in the industry, because you just guys that look good and walk around their shirts off and get paid to, sell supplements and all that type of stuff. So let's kind of debunk that and let's get an insight into what makes you tick. What's your message behind your philosophy and all that type of stuff. So let's dive into how you started to realize that there was traction in this, and then also, the integrity that you hold and all that type of stuff.
Yes. So yes, at the beginning, I was very clueless. This was, and unfortunately for me, I was really late into getting into the influencing. So I had a lot of examples around me that I could pretty much study and see what content works, what doesn't work, what is authentic, what is real, and what is getting the clicks. And in the beginning, I just started just shooting workouts, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
45-second workouts. And I thought that was just influencing with, and then people would just come across your videos. Through doing all the videos and speaking to some people, there's actually, you have to look at what's trending, number one. That's always going to help you out. Knowing what is the trends for these days, it goes by the week. And from there, adding your own authentic twist onto that. And what I mean by that is taking what the trends and adding your own twist, your own self, whether it's spicing up the video with your own, maybe theme or your own dialect, the way you speak, but taking a part of what is trending at the moment and adding on top of that. And for me, I just found that a lot of people draw towards the motivational stuff and inspirational posts that I had. And through the algorithms and seeing my insights from the videos, which also helps a lot, focusing on your insights after every post, that information gets relayed back to you as an influencer. And I would always recommend that use the time to go through social media or Instagram or all these platforms that you are looking to influence on, and understand how you can get feedback back from the people that are viewing your stuff. So with that in mind, that is where the route that I went, and it becomes easy from there to put out the content that people enjoy, but also remember to keep things very authentic. It's very important to be yourself. I think that's something we'll touch up on later on in the chat, but that for me is very key. And once you've got your traction, it's all about the consistency. From the consistency, you build community, and then the ball starts to get rolling. And that's where things start to exponentially start to get bigger for the individual.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that. Go, Doc.
No, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, Tommy, and I think you nailed it by saying, you got to keep that authenticity, you know what I mean? Because I think if you build up a base, and you see this often, we'll take I'm not too sure if we can mention it without a disclaimer, but, you take the Liver King, for example, for years and years and years, he was pretending to be natural and all this type of jazz, but, I think those of us in the know are like, yeah, sure, buddy, you know what I mean? So, there's that fine line between
Yes.
people looking good and just trying to sell you stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. You keep that integrity. I just want to quickly segue, and then Doc, I'll move on to you. Do you find that the communities that you build, do you think they'd call you out on that? Do you think that there is a sense of honesty, in the influencer slash I don't know, content, the people who watch your content kind of relationship, would they call you out, or would it just be a matter of them unfollowing?
You see, for me personally, I went into this wanting to be authentic and being real. So the community that follows me, it started off with my clients, and they know me, the person. So once they get to know you and see your content, you start growing with the people around you, friends, family, clients. And from there, that authenticity just blossoms and it gets bigger and bigger. They will start to call you out if you've started off with a lie. And that'll be the easiest thing to point out, So again, it goes back to having also a responsibility as a fitness and health influencer to also be completely honest, because you have people that are also watching you and taking your word for what you're saying. So I take that very, very, very important to me, because I have kids that follow me, lots of people. And the thing is, we are influential. So what we say is what people believe. So a lot of people these days are getting called out. And this is where the longevity in this game without authenticity is going to be exposed. if you have started the business off, or you're influencing based on, I want to match what everybody else is doing, and steering the ship away from yourself, you're going to be quickly exposed as this game goes along, because you're going to be called up to do something and it's not going to match up. And this is currently happening. And this is why it's opening such a great space for the guys like myself and many others out there who are authentic and really want to help people, because there's a big need for people. Just don't understand what's basic for us in health and fitness, how much water to drink, for instance, or what is a macro, what is a protein, what is a carb, what is a fat, what does this do for me? So again, just to go back to your question, for me personally, in and amongst my community, I've kept it myself honest from the get-go. And for me, that has served me well. And I can just suggest that everybody else do the same, as much as it may be uncomfortable, but it's going to help in the long run, and just to have longevity.
Thami, you're great. Thanks for answering that. Obviously, I think you've answered a lot of where I wanted to come in on authenticity versus sort of your algorithms and what you use and how you balance real being versus relevant. Just a question on that, on personal boundaries. Do you have, in your mind, when you go out there, do you have boundaries that you say, okay, I'm not going to cross this? How do you approach it? And sort of how do you internalize that and use that for your social media and what you go out with?
Yes. So the boundaries more or less lie hand in hand with, my beliefs. So if I'm not comfortable with a specific, with certain things, I don't necessarily engage in that too much. For example, I have a lot of female clients, things like that. There has to be boundaries, as also like with the kids. You've got to have boundaries in place so that you don't overstep and also tarnish all the work that you've been building up for. So very, very, very important to have what I like to call a motto for this game, as what you stick by, what you live by, and what is a no-go. And for me, luckily, I haven't come across any of those issues as yet, because I stick by my brand, and my brand being me. So anything negative around that is going to influence my business and myself. And, our word is our bond. I believe that. And, it's just a blessing to be in such a position like this, to be able to help people. So I don't take that for granted. So every single day is very important to show up as my best for them, and making sure that the boundaries that I have are aligning with my goals and aligning with what I believe in. And that belief system gets passed down to my clients and the community around me.
That's amazing, and a huge responsibility. And it's very interesting how you do that and balance it. Just before we move on to the whole community story, just tell us, in terms of platforms, what do you find for you is sort of the most successful platform to go out to people?
Yes. So at the moment, Instagram is the main driving platform for myself. I think for a lot of the guys in the industry now, everybody's on Instagram. And what's amazing about it is you can get really high definition with things. So you can take the quality to Netflix type of, quality. Although I do see, in terms of building community, it's much easier to start off on WhatsApp, because already the guys who have a personal relationship with you are all on there. Posting your stuff there is going to get some traction first. But Instagram being the main driver, because that also feeds into other platforms, your Facebooks and all the meta platforms. So Instagram is where I'm at, and I just find it easier there. You can put it onto YouTube as YouTube Shorts, so you can share the content from Instagram over into the YouTube Shorts. I know the TikTok space is quite big, although I haven't tapped into that too much, just because you want to also put your time and energy to the things that are lucrative, where you can make some money, and to translate the videos over TikTok into dollar signs or rands is quite a task.
Sure.
So Instagram is the first place, and the place I get most business from, my in-person clients.
And how do you, 10,000 followers is one thing. I'm not sure what your number of followers is, and I don't know if you can mention to us, but a real community, that's obviously business gold. How do you cultivate that loyalty?
Yes. So you see, with the community, and this is my favorite one because, working with people and in this industry is what it's about. With the community, building them and getting their trust, number one, for me, that has worked is making sure that you walk the walk, you are in shape. So number one, being in shape. You can't be an influencer and think, advising people to take supplementation or doing certain exercises if you yourself cannot do it. Very, 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 very important. So if you want people to follow you, you need to show them the way. And how do you do that? You get stuck in, get involved. Secondly, what you want to do is you want to compete either in sports events or you want to be in the fitness scene doing something that's over and above you yourself. So a competition for myself, I do bodybuilding, high rocks. You could do any sort of form of competition, marathon, and people love watching the process of that. So if you can get involved in that and record those things, people start following your journey and it becomes more relatable. This also goes back to the topic one of the points that we were speaking about earlier on about authenticity. So if you mix your authenticity with those 2 points, competing and also walking the walk, being in shape, people start to generally start following you because you have something to offer that they themselves can't achieve. And that's the most important thing, is to put yourself up there respectfully and have people kind of somewhat looking up to you in a positive light as to that's what I want to aspire to. And how do I do that? Is by doing those type of things, getting involved in, doing different exercise classes, going to other gyms, different studios, mingling with people. The more you are seen doing what you're doing, the better for you.
Yeah. So tell me, so I understand that so it's the community, building loyalty. So let's go into the talking about the money. Once you've got the reach, where are the real revenue streams available to a health influencer?
So there's a number of them, and the first one being PT work. PT work being the main source of income. What you want to do is, though, you want to be able to scale it up correctly. So trying to get revenue from all different directions in the fitness scene. So being a PT could be one of them. Again, doing programming, selling programming is online, digital currency is what we like to call it. Doing the programs, that again is a whole another thing on its own. So you've got those two revenue streams, and then you can also do the online classes where you are now tuning in at a time and instructing a class from wherever it is that you are in the world. And then again, brand deals or affiliations with some brands. They are always looking for guys to push their brand. And if you come across the right people, you can work out a nice deal that can be suitable for you. And then eventually you can scale it up to another level where you then get a team of professionals under you and then become somewhat of a master trainer and start teaching them the blueprint of how you would like things to run. And therefore you now have opened up some more time for yourself to then look at opening up maybe your own facility or, scaling it up. The sky's the limit. You can go so far with this. So those are just some of the monetary aspects or the routes you can go to being profitable and making some money.
Yeah, I think, Thami, especially with regards to the financial, the monetary side of things, I mean, again, it doesn't happen overnight. I think it's done via doing all of that groundwork initially, by building up the base, following the integrity, great content, all that type of stuff. But yeah, I do hear you. And I think it's also aligning with brands would also be another really good way of doing things, like brands that you believe in. I know that these brands obviously don't just pick you up willy-nilly, but I mean, you've got to do the work to show that. I just want to jump into that with regards to aligning with brands and companies. Is that you just knocking on doors, for example? Let's say we'll just use USN, for example. Like, is that a hurry up and wait scenario, or do you actually yourself go out there and physically go knock on their door or potentially wear some of their gear, or and in that segues into, are there gray areas? Like, are you allowed to just randomly promote someone's product, or what are the red tapes and what are the gray areas there?
Yes. So when it comes to the brands, and I've made every mistake. Well, let me not say mistake. I've tried every route. I've done the whole proposals. Well, it starts off with the DMs on the Instagram, tagging the guys, your big brands, and sending them DMs and, hey guys, have a look at me. I'd love to be, an influencer, but I quickly found out that's not how it works. So what I do now is I shied away from, sending all the proposals and things like that. I said, the best way to do it is to create your own buzz. If you are I started thinking as the company, if I want to endorse someone like me, or if I want to be affiliated or have a brand deal with an influencer, what is it in it for me as a business? What am I looking for? I need someone with numbers, someone with influence, authenticity, whatever it is. And that's what I'm going to go look for. And once you figure out the questions from the other side, what is it that they're looking for? You then create what I call create your own motion. Get a little buzz. Start backing yourself as if you had a brand behind your back. Start pushing, starting with local brands. Number one, they're always willing to work with local guys. They also know they're growing.
Yeah.
I'm growing. So that's the best approach. Look at the local guys. I promise you, they're not going to say no. They would love marketing, and you can work something out. You do a good job with the guys, with the local guys, they call you for some more work. And once you start doing that, then they start reposting your stuff, and you're on their platforms. More of the other local guys call. And once you've got this motion and this buzz going, you eventually get a call from, the big dogs, so to say, and out of nowhere, and it's like, wow, this is actually working. So gray areas, I would say, is there's a thought process that we need to go buy the products, tag them, and they will just pick us up just like that. But the people on the social media side of things aren't the guys that are making the calls for, giving the brand deals. But other than that, you just got to believe in yourself and be consistent. That's very important. They need to constantly see you doing your work. You can't get tired. You can't get bored. You got to keep on pumping the quality, and you need to get better. You need to start off, maybe starting off with a phone, then you invest in yourself a little bit more. You buy a camera. People are watching, there's always people watching.
Yeah. And it's true. And I think in a way you almost, you look at yourself as you are the product, you know what I mean? And it's very much that sort of almost like that sales mentality where you got to have that thick skin of like, it takes 1,000 people to say no, but it only takes one person to say yes. You know what I mean? So it's that ability to just keep going and keep knocking on the doors. You build that resilience. And I like what you said about local. I think, all of us, we get sucked into the trap of like, wanting to be endorsed by all these big brands like Nike, Adidas, or, whatever it may be. But the reality of it is that the chances are very small. And it's so good what you said, like the more local we support, and I suppose this goes out to anyone, not just South Africa, the more local you support community, whatever it may be, it's your chances of growing are so much better.
Yeah.
For sure,
Thami, you spoke about a lot of mistakes or things you when you built your business, because obviously we all make mistakes and get up and continue building, etc. For our listeners out there, what would you say is the one thing you wish someone had warned you about before you started taking this business seriously?
I would say not to take things personal. It's very hard. Like Mark was saying, it takes 100,000 no's for 1 yes, or you're trying to help people out and they're just not pulling weight, and you start taking it personal, thinking there's something wrong with your work and your effort. And once that starts to get into your head, things start to derail from there. So one of the biggest mistakes was taking things too personal and understanding that there is a business side of things here. Just because you buy all, or you maybe might be the best trainer, or you buy all the training gear of your favorite brand, or you have the most followers, doesn't mean you necessarily deserve to be a health and fitness influencer or endorsed by any brand or given an award for the best trainer or anything like that. It's at the end of the day, everything boils down to numbers, business, so always keeping that in mind. Never take it personal.
Sure. I wanted to ask you, I mean, and there's a lot built around business psychology, what they call the tipping point. And I don't know if you've read about that or in terms of a business psychologist and the way businesses are built. At what point did you find that tipping point in your career path? In other words, that you sort of didn't feel you're going uphill anymore and suddenly like things just started building organically. At what point, sort of in your influencer timeline, would you say did you sort of feel yourself moving over that tipping point?
I would say, there's always for me, it was a shift when you start to understand that there's continuous work that needs to be done, and every time you put in that work, and that effort, there's always a return on investment. And this happened, I think, in my third year of personal training. And, I realized taking every single shift is not going to work. You are going to work yourself into the ground. And I started pulling back on those hours. And as soon as I did that and started focusing more on putting effort into these videos and start attracting the brands and doing what we need to do, it just changed from there. And things became so overwhelming to the point where you're so lost, you don't know how to manage everything because there's just 1,000 things running at once, know. But I would say once I started taking less in-person clients and shifting my attention and time over to the digital marketing side and also building my online business as well, things really started changing very quickly.
Just mentioning the business side of things, Thami. I'm not too sure if you guys touched on it while I was gone, but there is another aspect to this, and I mean, same thing with me. I ran my own personal training business for a good 5 years or so. And everyone thinks it's all peaches and cream, but they don't realize that there's a fair amount of admin that goes along with this. And speaking for myself, admin is not my strong suit. We're good at helping people get fitter and stronger, not necessarily making our books balance and all that type of stuff. So with regards to the sort of, the more digital side of things and working in the digital side of things, touch on your business aspects. Like, are you using, CRMs? And this will be really good for youngsters who are watching this and listening to this and think that it's all just like, I just post my stuff and then it's going to take care of yourself. I think a lot of people forget that there is a business side to this. So like, talk us through your sort of your day-to-day runnings of your business. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day,
yes,
your business is Thami. Thami is the one that pays your bills. So
correct.
Yeah, just talk us through that.
Yes, and the business side of things, like you said, the admin, the stuff that, is thought of last and also tedious. And yeah, it's super important to get on top of that stuff because you can have such a great business model and everything, but if that's not taken care of, you can quickly see your business, crumble in front of your eyes. And what I would say is the first thing that you need to do is you need to get some sort of paperwork and things in order to protect yourself again from clients getting hurt or just to protect yourself in any aspect in case things do happen. So clients, like my online clients, they will have their, waiver forms that they're filling in, making sure they understand that, service is not refundable, talking about injuries, talking about, all these things that you will get asked at a doctor's office so that I myself as a health professional know how to go about, dealing with that specific client. Secondly, company registrations, taxes, things like that. Super important. You have to be on top of those things. The guys will come and take ask you for their money. You know, the SaaS guys are not playing. If you've got clients abroad, how do I get payments from my clients abroad? Because some of the guys, you know, for instance, in Saudi Arabia, they're not paying you in your FNB account. They're not paying you in your Standard Bank account. So how are you getting your money from all those people overseas? Are you using, you know, things like Yoko, Stripe, for those that are registered outside of the company? Again, you got to do your research there. What is more suitable for the business that you are looking to do? And then again, my day-to-day, how I structure it, I make use of an app called Trainerize. That's, for me, is just my online clients. And I have got them all loaded on there. These are the guys that I don't see in person. And these are guys with a background already of exercise. So it's not me needing to be hands-on with them. And basically, I set their whole 6 or 8 weeks. And then we just make minor adjustments for every week. We do a check-in and just make minor adjustments according to what the body's doing, their schedule in life, because that is also a determining factor. Very, very important is to take into account what's going on in their life. So I take control of your life in a sense, whereas I schedule things for you, your reading, whatever you've got going on in your life, so that we make sure that you can attain your goal in the fitness. Over and above that, you just also, again, passion. Passion is that's very, very, very important to be able to run a business, especially this industry. You are dealing with people, and if you're not a people's person, you need to forget about it or go find a way to, you know, bridge that gap, because the guys are coming to you and it's more than just training. People are coming with, some are coming with problems, or they need an ear to someone to lend an ear. They help them through their issues in life. It's more personal than what people think it is. So very, very important to have a passion for it, because it's not nice waking up 5 a.m. in a bed, not having a great day, but you got to show up for that person, and they're so excited to come and see you. That's their first person they're going to see is you. And if you're not coming correctly, if you're not coming with the energy and all of that, then this is also going to be a tough process for you, which I think a lot of people have a tough time transitioning from just being your normal trainer to expanding their business, because they find that it's a lot of work, and it's more than just having a couple of videos online, a good body, and thinking, I'm actually going to be a trainer. It's a lot more than that. Reading people, energy. This person doesn't want to talk today, you know?
Definitely. I mean, we're talking the same language here, you know, because, and I agree with everything that you've said. I think and I know we're segueing away from the influencers realm here. I'm going more to the personal training realm here, but I think a lot of youngsters come into the game and they think they're just going to get their qualifications. They're going to start working in a gym and they're going to make money. That's couldn't be further from the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I think us as trainers and the successful ones, we're the ones who are obviously good at what we do, but at the same time, we also understand our clients not only on a fitness level, but as people. And we're the ones who are able to connect with them. But like you said, I love what you said, they're the first people that they want to get in touch with in the morning. And that's primo. And if you've got people like that in your life and on your books, those are the ones that stay with you. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Thami, I'm going to come in here because you mentioned it briefly, and obviously being a medical doctor coming from on this side, I mean, you're talking about health, people's health, lives which are being impacted. How do you stay accountable and keep things safe and science-based? I mean, that's a whole profession in itself, right? How do you stay on top of that?
Yes. So are you asking personally, how do I stay on top of me being, accountable to myself or to my clients?
Yes. How do you stay on top of all the medical and scientific information to obviously put out there as an influencer?
Yes. So you see, again, this one, it's a lot of people don't like this whole science-based stuff, but fortunately, we do have science-based. We have research for things, and for me, I'm a person who likes to take experience and being on the ground, but I love science as well. So we blend the two. And how I do that is you got to stay learning. Mentors, number one. I have a mentor, my friend JP Hun. He mentors me. I look up to him, and I learn a lot through him. So having mentors, reading up on articles, just staying in the loop. Fitness and health, things are changing rapidly. It seems like every month there's something new. So mentors, staying knowledgeable. And then again, I like to research on myself. So when it comes to dieting or anything to do with influencing, I'm a test dummy, use it on myself first. And therefore, a fact, then I know that this works, this doesn't work. And then I get the science to back it up with me. And then I put it out there. And then I know for sure that this is going to work. I don't like to put things out there that I'm half, 50-50 on the fence. For me, if I'm putting it out there, I've tried it, number one. And number two, there's evidence out there that suggests it. So I would recommend these guys, they need to just stay knowledgeable. You cannot stop learning in this game. The minute you think you know everything,
that's what you want to put in the market there, right? I mean, there is science and there is science-based information, and one has to stay up to date and relevant, right?
Correct. And also, we don't need to feel so intimidated by the science. I think a lot of the guys, influencers and PTs, or, we get intimidated by hearing all the science-based research and all these articles that we're reading. And when we're actually just looking at information that is going to help us and support our belief systems and our methods of influencing and training, and therefore. So I don't think people need to be too scared of that. It's out there. And people find science-based things truthful, and they will tend to listen to science-based research. So why not read up on it, get knowledgeable about that, so that you can also have a bigger reach. A lot of people will take your word for it as an influencer, although there are those that want to see evidence. You are saying this, but the science says this. So how can I go with a trainer like you when people who are studying, the scientists and the doctors and the guys are doing all this research, but it says this? So you have to find a blend and use the both to your advantage.
Yeah, got it.
Definitely, because I mean, if you're not, and you alluded to it earlier, if you're not evolving, you're just staying in the same place. So I do hear you, and a lot of people, especially especially some trainers who are stuck in their way, just refuse to bend. They just get stuck in what they do. And I think that kind of segues into the next section, which is like the future of all of this. So let's have a quick dive into from your point of view, Thami. Where do you see this going? And what I mean by that is, like, obviously it's a lot more than just content. Do you see this evolving into something bigger? Obviously, with the advent of AI, again, I work a lot online too. It's actually part of my job, which is developing the online perspective of Edge. So I'm very much into this bracket. So where do you see this all evolving to? And
Yes.
also, where do you see yourself fitting into how this whole, I guess, call it the explosion of the digital fitness world?
Exactly that. And with you saying the explosion of the health and fitness, I say sky's the limit with this. I'm so excited to see where this is going to go. First of all, it is our human responsibility to do what we can to stay healthy. And more people are starting to realize this, is that we can't just continuously consume the foods and all these other things and expect to live, forever. So with that being said, sky's the limit, and more people are starting to find out that you got to do the weight training and you got to do all of this. And where I'm going with this is that us as influencers are starting to touch more masses because of the curiosity of, hey, what is a macro? What is protein? What is this? I'm seeing a big shift with the ladies. The ladies are showing up. This is a shout out to the ladies. They are showing up in the gym, and this is also helping build more and more communities. We're seeing more studios pop up, more gyms pop up, and that's just showing that this is going to grow. And things like AI are helping, bridging the gap for those that cannot afford personal trainers, things like that. You can go into a chat, ask for a program of some sort that tailored to you, and with not even having extensive knowledge of what's happening in terms of health and fitness, macros, dieting and programming, you can get an idea with the help of your favorite influencers' videos, and you can actually figure it out for yourself. So this is going to be so great for the future. The kids, they've got access to their phones. They're seeing all these guys. The kids, they love seeing someone in shape. That's all they care about, being bigger, faster, stronger. The ladies love what they love. They're on social media all day long, and it's nice because now they can relate more to the ladies that are now all, there's more ladies on social media influencing. So it's, sky is the limit for this, and I'm super excited because, again, we're never going to be outdated as influencers in this aspect, because there's always a need for the human touch. So AI.
Thami, do you think?
Go ahead, Doc.
Do you think worldwide, and then we can go into South Africa, there's a move, and I mean, you sort of alluded to this, but I'm interested sort of from a population perspective, and particularly in South Africa, there's a move towards wellness in general.
Absolutely. I mean, just to give you an idea, I have got my book. Most of my books, like I said earlier, are women, and a lot of them last year, 2 years back, would not dare to touch creatine. And 2 years down the line now, they're all drinking creatine. And I can speak for the masses of the ladies, the creatine, whey protein. So this thing is massive. And what's also amazing is that there's such a heavy influence internationally on, especially a place like South Africa. So whatever everyone's doing overseas in terms of health and wellness and stuff, we also want to have it. And that's, again, another positive aspect and a need. That's why there has to be a need for authenticity in a space of, health and fitness influencers. So it's on the rise. It's only a matter of time before we have our own wellness center in Cape Town and all around the countries in South Africa. It's on its way. And from there, it's just going to be something. I mean, we've got these wellness retreats. People are going on these retreats overseas. It's a combination of exercise, yoga, a lot of things that are really good overall whole wellness. And it's just a pleasure to introduce it to more masses and let them know that, this is the way forward. I always use this example. Most of us have vehicles or homes or possessions. We will insure those things, but none of those cars, homes, jobs are possible if we ourselves are not healthy and living. So the same way you want to put an insurance policy on your vehicle and your home and your jewelry, what about your health? And it costs a fraction of that, All you got to do is the basics. And again, with AI and and the influencers like myself, we're making it a lot easier for the guys to make that transition.
I love that message.
And that's,
I think it's important for listeners.
Yeah, definitely.
Very
and I
important.
think, the ones who lean into AI and the ones who sort of start understanding it are the ones who succeed. There's a lot of people who are like, AI is going to take over the world. No, it's not. It's just gonna make things a lot more accessible and a little bit easier for us. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Cool. So just almost getting to the point where we're going to start wrapping it up here. In a quick fire, Thami. So quick fire. We've got our producer now here telling us we've got 60 seconds left. So, in a nutshell, quick fire. If you've got 3 tips for someone starting out, hit it. Go for it.
3 tips. Do research, study, get knowledgeable, walk the walk, be in shape, grab your phone, hit record, be authentic, and just upload. Don't think too much about it, and everything else will work itself out.
I love that, Thami. And the key message there is just get going, right? For the listeners in the podcast, what social media links, tags, or how can people follow you?
Yes. So my Instagram is Gorilla Thams, GorillaThamz, Gorilla Thams, on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok as well. If you can't find me there, Thami Mavi, you'll see yourself a blue verification mark at the top there. That's me. Make no mistake about it.
Right. We'll ask our producer to put those links
as well
on
as
the
the
screen.
YouTube. Absolutely. And then my YouTube is Gorilla Times as well. We've got some nice stuff on there as well, some high rocks preparation, lots of influence, lots of fitness things. And yeah, that they can find me on those socials.
Thami, it's been amazing, and we can only wish you all the best and success. I mean, you're successful already, but that it continues growing and you continue spreading the message of wellness and what people need to do. It's just so refreshing. I mean, being a health influencer isn't about just showing the abs, right? It's about showing impact. And if you treat it right, it can grow into a thriving, purposeful, driven business, as you've shown. So, Thami, thank you for showing us the heart behind the hustle. And Mark,
I appreciate your time, Doc.
Great, thank you. And just go out and continue. And Mark, thanks. It's always been great to have you as a panelist on our show. And you're always on point. And thanks for coming in. Are there any messages you want to leave people with, Mark? I think we may have just difficult with Mark coming in. Are you there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that, guys.
Do you want to leave a final message for our listeners on the topic?
Yeah, just Thami, thanks so much for your insight. I think it's a often confused and sort of, I don't know, much maligned topic. And I hope that over the last hour or so, some of the listeners have got an insight to, into what you do, and that there's a lot more to it than, just standing in front of a camera and looking strong, which you do very well, by the way. So, but yeah, thanks so much for your time, and
appreciate the love.
Yeah, like I say, I really do. It was informative for me, so I really hope that the listeners enjoy it as well. So, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Thami. And I'm not going to let you go without this. A final closing messages to our podcast listeners.
Thank you, Doc. And this is from the great Nipsey Hussle. The highest human act is to inspire. And that's what I live by every single day.
Love it.
I think that's amazing. Thank you so much. And thanks to our listeners. We'll be back with another podcast on Let's Talk with other interesting topics. And thanks for listening. And Thami, best wishes and success in taking the message out.
I appreciate
thanks,
you, Doc.
everybody.
Mark, appreciate you guys. It's been great.
Cheers, brother. Cheers, man.
Cheers, guys.
Let's talk.